Yeah.
All right. Back for number 2.
Are we live or are we just doing the recording?
We're just recording.
Oh, okay. So this is we've decided to do some movie/book reviews. We found that it's kind of entertaining to compare and contrast movies with their books, because some get it right, and some get it wrong.
Although it's not going to be that many of them because I haven't read that many of the books, very many books, and so
well, this could be a good thing. We could get Bruce to read more.
No,
and
because I don't read fast enough.
No, well, and you can always get audiobooks.
Well, that's the only reason I read these is I did it, but I did them when I was drawing, and,
right.
And otherwise, I just don't sit and listen to audiobooks or stuff like that. So,
well, you listen to me. You listen to me read an entire fucking book.
Well, yeah, but that was doing this and yeah, I just don't do it. So.
I guess burnoutstudios.com for all those people who are new here watching this. We are
these are movies you need to watch.
Well, also I was just introducing ourselves. We are we want to be writers of graphic novels, etc.
Storytellers of graphic novels. Yes. So he writes them, I draw it.
Right.
So we are creatives.
We collaborate on so many things, though, because the stories that I've written have changed for the better in a lot of ways. Because
hopefully.
It's just like if you're working on a movie and if you're a director or a writer that is open to new ideas, everybody that you collaborate with adds something to it, and hopefully makes everything better. Anyway,
if not, you just say no.
Right.
And Marty has said no plenty of times. So,
right. Well, I mean, my biggest thing is I, as the creator of the universe that I created for like Shattered Time. The universe has rules, and as long as it doesn't go against the rules, I'm open to anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He's been pretty, he let me change the, dang it.
What?
We're doing it again.
Tangents?
Like I said the last video, the thing I hate the most is clicking on a damn video, and then it takes 5 minutes to actually get to the thing that I clicked on it for.
Right. Well, that's okay.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes, as you can see on your screen, if you're watching this.
Why is this a good story?
Well, one of the things that we touched...
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We're done.
One of the things we touched on in the last movie/book review was we did a book review and a movie review of one of my favorite writers, Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton wrote this wonderful book called Timeline, and then somebody made a movie of it. He just kind of sold them the rights to do whatever they wanted, and they did whatever they wanted and screwed that whole thing up. Now, fast forward to this book. JK Rowling, great writer. In a lot of ways, I don't know if I would. I mean, she's a great writer in the fact that you can close your eyes and you can actually visualize everything in her books. Her books, when you're reading them, they do feel like you're reading a movie or watching a movie. It's really well done. I think as far as my talent compared to hers, she's much better at drawing the background and creating the characters visually for the reader than I am.
Well, that's why you got me.
I come from a it's funny because one book that I have I have quite a few books on how to write, different things. And there was this one that's written
Not
by...
that you've actually written, but he means.
There's one that Orson Scott Card wrote, and it's about character development and characters in a book. And he talks about sometimes you don't have to get real deep into what a character looks like, because with Harry Potter, she wrote down to all these little details about his round glasses and the lightning bolt scar on his head and all these things, very important to the character. But with Orson Scott Card, he said that there were some characters that you could just let the audience fill in what the person, so a person walks into a scene in a book and her name is Shaniqua. You don't have to describe what Shaniqua looks like, because the audience will fill in what Shaniqua looks like, because just by her name alone, they'll fill in what Shaniqua looks like. It's just a way that an audience reacts in those certain scenes, and I like that. I do that in my books, and but at the same time, sometimes I think I need to be more descriptive on for certain things.
Well, I think what she does really good is, I watched this lecture series that this guy did about creative writing from the University of Chicago, which has I guess one of the better writing programs out there.
Mm-hmm.
But he talked about writing to your audience. He's like, you don't need to fan service or pander to them, but understand your audience came for a genre.
Right.
And if you don't give them the genre, then they leave. Then they won't accept it. So I find this, it's like she did such a great job at giving us this wizarding, quirky genre at just a level that you'll take all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll accept everything she throws at Diagon Alley, dragons down and vaults, everything.
Right.
But it's not so overly done that you're like, really? That? Really? Because there's some fantasy books that I read, and it's like, I understand that we have to do Aragon, not Aragorn, but not saying Lord of the Rings, but I mean, there's always an Argon, there's always a Dragon, there's always these fantasy names that are so fantasy that it's like, oh my gosh,
why can't his name just be Bob?
Yeah, why can't it be, why can't it be Dave the hero or something? You know what I mean? It's like, it's got to be, everything has to be, it's like they overly compact the genre so much.
Right.
And I think that's why stuff like her book, that's why Lord of the Rings was so well received. They understand how to play in that world and ours enough that you're like, yeah, sure, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. Platform 9 3/4, hell yeah, that's awesome. That's so quirky. I mean, wherever she got that idea from was just like brilliant.
One of the things that I love also is Harry Potter, the first book and all the following books are really, they're set in our time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and so it makes it so much easier for the reader to get hooked in, because this boy is living in our world, but at the same time is able to step away from our world, and there's a world within our world type of thing,
Right. Well, she's just paralleling creativity, storytelling. She's just the idea that like a children's book I wanted to make was the idea that as a creative person, as an artist, whatever, I can go and play in whatever world I want to just by, today I want to be an astronaut. I can sit down and draw spaceships and spacesuits and all that stuff all day. Tomorrow, let's do dragons and knights and stuff like that, and And that's what childhood playing was all about, right? You picked up your toys, and today I'm going to do this, and tomorrow I'm going to do that.
Right.
And it's, yeah, like I said, it's so perfectly well done in this. I mean, even at the beginning, I mean, he grows up in the cupboard, in the closet, right? But
Cupboard under the stairs.
It was fascinating that even to the drafty castle that they take him to, running away from the owls, it's like all of a sudden they take you out of the real world into a fantasy world right there,
right?
And you still bought it, and then Hagrid shows up, and now all of a sudden we're right into the fantasy world. You know, it's like it's like, oh, wait, you can see how somebody could go to a drafty inn like that, stay the night, and be like, wouldn't it be funny if like a big giant burst through the door and told me that I was a wizard and took me off to boarding school? You know, I mean, so that you can see how creativity just and around every corner in that movie is, you can see how she could just be sitting somewhere and something happens. She's like, oh, here's a quirky twist on that in my universe.
And that was the thing that, you know, like in the last podcast I had mentioned it, but in this case, you know, I would say that the first Harry Potter movie and the first Harry Potter book are almost identical. And you can't say that. You can't say that in, you know, the third one or the fourth one or whatever like that. But this one, man, it is.
Yeah, they really dumped on the fourth one for that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my favorites in the movies because it was so. I mean, the dragons was so freaking awesome.
Dragons are cool.
But I mean,
the first one. I mean, out of all of the Harry Potter movies, I think it's the one that felt the most magical. I mean, that boat ride, that only happens in your first year, but that boat ride to the castle, and you see, I mean, everything. It was in a, you know, it was like the book. I mean, every scene in the book is in the movie that I can remember.
And then, was it the third one? Excuse me. What's the one? Yeah. No, it's the fourth one. That's when we meet Luna, right? No, is she in the earlier ones?
Luna?
Yeah.
I don't remember, honestly.
You know, when she sees because Harry now has had a traumatic event.
Oh, yeah, the
so it had to be in the fourth one, right? Because the third one's where he loses Sirius, and that would be the traumatic event.
Right.
And then so the fourth one, it should be the horses. Mm-hmm. And I think that's in the movie, but I don't remember it being so. I loved it in the book, you know, when she sits down next to them and she's like, oh, you see them too? Mm-hmm. You know, you can see them too, you know, and it
right.
Yeah, you know, there's just I think this is going to go into a lot of what makes great movies great movies. Obviously, it's what makes great movies great stories great stories. Is the balancing, right?
Well, what I don't understand is why are some movies, they follow the books so closely, you know, that, you know, you create a masterpiece like the first Harry Potter, where it is, you know, it's, you know, like I said, it's true to the book the whole way. And then there's, you know, other people that'll write a screenplay and they'll just use the book as a general guide. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Guidelines instead of rules.
Right. It's
more like guidelines.
I hate that.
That's like The Firm. The movie The Firm's the same way. I think most people like the book.
Right.
Most people like
The Firm was great movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it's even better book. Mm-hmm. That's the ones. One of the few that I've read.
Mm-hmm. Right, John Grisham.
Yeah, John Grisham.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, you know. We keep on landing on all these other movies that we need to write down so we can
I know,
do the same thing.
I think what it is when you get somebody who understands, because, you know, like what Marty was saying at the beginning, you know, being flexible. Mm-hmm. You get some people that are, no, it's only about the characters. And they don't give a rat's behind about what the cinematography looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Kevin Smith, you know. I think when he was working on that Cop-Out movie, you know, he went to talk with Bruce Willis about something, and Bruce was asking him, so are we going to shoot this with this camera or with this lens, because he knows what that means with how far it's going to be, how much face he needs to give to it, how much acting he really has to do, where he needs to look, blah, 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 blah. And Kevin Smith's looking at the dumbass look on his face like, we use different lenses? Type thing, you know what I mean? No, seriously, he tells the story in his stand-up thing, you know. He doesn't say that.
Right.
He knows that there's different lenses, but he doesn't give a rat's ass about that stuff, you know.
Right.
Lens? Who cares about that? It's only about my words on the page, you know what I mean? And that's why people hate his stuff, because either you like the words or you don't. And, you know, and that's why other people, they make cinematically beautiful movies, but the stories are, that's like Michael Bay, right? You go to watch the explosions and the action and the you know, the sets. I mean, Transformers is just visually scrumptious all the way through it. But the story is, you know, especially the later ones, right?
Right.
That first one was spot on, because just, I mean, the idea of making Sam Witwicky a growing, awkwardly, socially awkward, like, boy, and going through all that stuff was just, that was hilarious. I mean, you fell in love with that character right from the start, you know. But so she balances that stuff. She balances the visuals in the book to the characters, to the sets. I mean, everything is so... It's like something that I always talk about in Star Trek. Like, to me, the Enterprise is the last crew member.
Oh, yeah.
You care about Kirk, Spock, Bones, Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov, and Sulu. And then the last character is the Enterprise. When she rises triumphantly through the clouds and in the Wrath of Khan, coming in behind the other, you cheer not because they did it, it's because she's doing it. You know, I mean, it's like it's the Enterprise. It's Hogwarts. You know, it's all of the places she creates there. The creepy forest. I mean, everything is. You see so many movies where that's the hook, is the forest or is the school. It's not who cares about the characters or whatever, but her blend, and because of that, so some character stuff gets left out. Some, so you know, she has to scale back some of the school stuff. Everything gets scaled, but when you peg all of those things. Oh man, the story just comes alive, you know, and it's one of those. There are few movies that you can just. I think my wife will sit down once a year
and watch,
and just go through the whole series.
Yeah, it's a good Christmas movie too, because there is that Christmas scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean as far as you know, true to the book and everything, I think because the Harry Potter series of movies, they went through several different directors, but I would say that Chris Columbus, he was the first director. He did the first and the second. He was the one that stuck and tried to make it as true to the book as possible, and he did a good job.
Yeah, he did pretty good. And I do, and this is going to be, I don't know how people are out there, but I think the other thing that really shifted the narrative of it was the changing of Dumbledore.
Yeah, it was. It was sad that he
passed.
Character died.
That Richard Harris passed, but he brought this kindness to it, and then the other one brought more of the swashbuckle. He brought You didn't really see Harris's character being the guy from the last, where
The badass.
with the flames over his head,
Right.
But I know him from movies way back in the day
But
I mean, A Man Called Horse.
That's kind of a good thing to talk about. Dumbledore in the book versus Dumbledore in the movie. I think that the Dumbledore in the book and Harris were closer.
Oh, I think it was definitely closer.
Because I mean that one scene, and it was just such a stupid little scene, but once again it was in the book, so it was great when he was talking about the Bertie Bott's ever flavored beans, and he was talking about how he's like, and one time I had a vomit flavored one, and I lost my taste for them, and I never tried them again. And then he eats one, and he's like, oh, earwax. And that was so Dumbledore. It was from the book anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think Harris was a much better Dumbledore, but not to speak ill of the other guy. I mean, he did okay.
I know. It's funny because the other guy.
God, it's embarrassing that we don't even know his name.
Baldwin? Not Baldwin. I can't remember. But what's funny is, to me, my favorite movie that he was in is Open Range.
Was he the bad guy in Open Range?
Yep. Throw your women and children out into the cold prairie and start. Yeah.
That's him?
That's him. That's Dumbledore, yeah.
I've never seen him that's him without the beard.
Well, he still has,
Right.
But not the long thing. Yeah, it's him. He's...
Holy crap.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Because I loved him in Open Range.
Right. Oh, gosh, that's not what I want to say.
I think that's, to me, I've always had a kind of a love-hate relationship with Kevin Costner. Because there's so many things that he's done that I just love.
That's me and
then there's so many things that I don't like.
Joss Whedon. Michael Gambon. That's right. Yeah, Michael Gambon. Yeah, his portrayal of the boss in Open Range. Oh gosh, goosebumps just loose. So we'll have to do that movie. We'll definitely have to do that one. That's one of my all-time favorites.
It's a good movie. Yeah. And it's not a deep story either.
No.
But it's definitely historically accurate as far as,
scrumptious to look at, too.
It's, because that kind of stuff, those types of feuds and fights were actually happening at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Because the open range thing, America's always had that open range, government land, BLM land. It exists out here in Utah, and let's face it, I come from a ranching family, and if it wasn't for would they own the land if the government didn't? Sure. My grandfather, way back when, he was one of the founding members of the town of Monticello, and he owned a lot of property. But there's, here in Utah, 90% of the land is owned by the government.
Oh, yeah.
And so the ranchers, made a deal along with them a long time ago where they would graze their cattle on the government land, and it would help the government because, the land would be grazed down so they wouldn't have to come out and cut it and, to prevent fires, because that's one of the problems in California is they never clear out any of the underbrush, any of the stuff that is gathering on the forest floor, which is funny because out here in Utah, that's pretty much what the Forest Service is for, is to get rid of all that underbrush and to keep that place clean. So when forest fires happen, they don't destroy an entire freaking state of like California, where you get clouds of smoke that cover up 19 different states. Anyway, I digress.
Yes. Tangent.
But yeah, I mean,
How'd you think about the characters? What'd you think of the?
in
I mean, we saw.
back to Harry Potter.
Well, we talked about how well they did with Dumbledore.
Yeah, I mean the first, like I said, the first movie compared to the first book, that's the one that I think that they absolutely nailed. It's I mean, even the kids' ages,
Hermione was.
you know,
She was hilarious. I mean,
Right.
she was the perfect person. She was
mm-hmm.
the way she over pronunciated everything,
Right,
and she was just that book nerd, you know, and everybody knows that character.
right, and I mean, you know, the way that I read the book, you know, those little scenes like on the train when you know, because you read the book and you still have it in your head, and you see her saying the lines, "You have dirt on your nose. Do you know that?"
Mm-hmm.
Right here. You know, and like, "Oh my God, you're Harry Potter," and he's like, "And you are Ron Weasley." He's like, "Pleasure." Yeah,
Yeah.
but everything, you know.
We're so good at this, aren't we?
Right. Every
Well, this is kind of like, this is the reason I was wanting to come up with stuff, is like, you talked about directing and the writing and the cast and the history aspects of it was really great. The plot, the third act of this movie, it really came through too. I mean, so many movies fall apart in that third act. It's like you don't really, you're just like, oh, let's just get done with it now. But you know, there's few movies where you just want the movie to keep going,
mm-hmm.
and you know, you want to play in this, as Kevin Smith says, you want to play in this toy box longer,
Mm-hmm.
in the sandbox. You know,
Because
I thought they did a great job. You go back and watch it, and you can see all the stuff that you missed. You know, like you thought everything was Snape was doing everything, but it was actually what's his name? Phil? Not
no, the guy who had
Professor. Oh, I gotta go back to that one again. And
but yeah, I mean, it was basically Voldemort.
yeah.
He had Voldemort stuck on the back of
Everybody's
his
yelling
head.
at us on the thing right now.
How do you not know his name? How do you not know his name?
Quidditch?
No,
Professor-
that's the name of the sport.
Cast. Quirrell.
Quirrell. Yeah.
Professor Quirrell.
Yes. Poor Professor Quirrell.
Getting off on the other movies, but it was funny to see Tennant show up in the fourth one. You know, with his little character, and then to see him on Doctor Who, it was like just a drastic.
Right.
But oh no, there's such a who's of British actors in these movies.
Well, yeah. Yep. But I mean,
and the other thing too is and it is so British, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like growing up in America, we love James Bond, but James Bond was never, Rambo. He was never.
no.
Our action heroes over here were always, gun blazing, big muscles.
Well, right, because
all this stuff.
Our good guys always overpowered the bad guys.
Right.
In their version, the good guy outsmarts the bad guy.
Well, not just outsmart, but I mean, even outpowered him, because
right.
I mean, James Bond, that scene in Never is not Never. It's on Doctor No on the train where Sean Connery has that fight on the train. That was one of the first like really good hand-to-hand combat fighting. Like that's one of the. I think it was revolutionary for its day.
Right.
I remember seeing a thing I think on it, and because of that, you know, he always had that little Walther PBK in American movies. You know, it's the biggest gun you can get with all the different attachments on it, and they have guns. They'll put a Mac 10 with a 800 round clip on it with a scope and flashlight, lasers, and it's like, I mean, it looks cool, but it's all so impractical, you know. And he runs around with what? A little Walther PBK, you know, and so Harry Potter to me is a little bit like that. It's kind of like it's the understated wizarding world of wizards, you know. I mean, like Professor McGonagall, the perfect example of that. You know, she's just the older teacher lady, but a badass with a wand, right? You know, and she has it out. Ron Weasley's mom and dad, you know, you don't think of them as, but man, when she goes after what's her name, and after she kills it's in the last one when she's trying to hurt.
When everybody's fighting everybody.
Yeah, when everybody's fighting, she catches up with him and with her, and just goes. That was a great fight scene, right? And it's like.
But that was one of my favorite scenes in the books was when they're reading Dumbledore. They're telling him all the crimes basically that he's broken and stuff that. And they're saying, and you know, and we're sentencing you to blah blah blah, and he's like, I understand, but you do realize that I'm not going to cooperate. And then bam, phew, and you know, he disarmed and, you know, disabled all these people in a matter of seconds, and he's gone. And that's cool.
Well, yeah, there's a couple movies like that. It's like in Tombstone. I'm gonna have to arrest you guys.
I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna let you do that today. You know.
Yep.
Such weak characters.
Yeah.
We have to do open range. But, so let's. But is there anything else?
I don't even know if I've ever read Open Range.
I haven't. I don't even know there's a book.
Probably.
Actually, I looked for it.
Probably
at
there is.
one time, and I can't remember what it was. But any quotes that
you know,
from the movie that you can really think of that are stand out?
In the first Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I mean,
we were supposed to look up the Rotten Tomatoes from it, but
oh yeah, that's right, we were. In the original Harry Potter, any quotes?
81.
Wow.
81%
and
tomato
82%.
meter, and an 82%
critics
audience score.
Oh, audience. Wow. Yeah.
Why is that? Why?
Those are some good scores.
You know what I bet that boils down to is from the people who read the books, then went and saw the movie, and then the characters didn't match what they read as well.
Well, I don't know.
But I don't think there's anything that was left out.
No.
Of that one, like the other movies.
Yep.
I think all the major key things that happened in the first book are in are in the
first
movie.
book. Yep.
So the only thing I could think of is Hogwarts wasn't exactly what they thought it was going to be like. The characters didn't look exactly what they thought they were supposed to look like or sound, because that happens. I mean,
I suppose. But I thought it was pretty...
I'm sorry, but did you think Michael Perry was it Michael Perry? Is that no Tyler Perry? He was Alex Cross from the Jordan Peter. What? Not Jordan Peter. That one guy's set of books.
Right.
No.
I mean,
was what's his name a better Alex Cross? Sure.
by far.
What's his name?
Morgan
Morgan
Freeman.
Freeman. Yeah. But was he the action packed one that you would thought from his actual books?
Right.
Maybe back in the day he could have been, but even still, I don't know if I would have put him in that category.
But
who would I have played?
That's another good movie. Kiss the Girls.
Kiss the Girls, yeah, that's a great movie. The Bone Collector was a pretty good one. Kiss the Girls is good. Bone, yeah.
You know, Morgan Freeman, he's got to be...
What's that guy's name? Who's the writer? Isn't it...
It's not Grisham, it's
not Grisham. It's Patterson? Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Something Patterson.
Michael
Patterson?
Or is it...
something Patterson.
What's his...
Because he was on Castle.
Yes.
He was on Castle. He played poker.
Right.
Castle.
Yeah, there was 3 different famous authors at that table.
Right.
Adapted from Kiss the Girls. James Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to me, that could be the only reason that score is as low as it is. Is it would have to be from the early... Because otherwise, I mean...
Because Patterson's books aren't like super action-packed.
No.
It is more of the thinking. And that's why I think Morgan Freeman was the better choice.
Right.
Because
I know they tried to make him more action.
I love that, the shooting through the milk carton at the very end of that. Oh God, that was one of my favorite scenes in a movie.
It's just like with the Hunt for October. Alec Baldwin is no action hero,
right?
But he had to be just enough of an action hero to pull off the action,
right?
And I just didn't get that from Tyler Perry,
right?
Or there's quite a few people like that, right? That you just like. No.
Right.
I didn't buy that. But then there's other ones that really surprise you. Like, I did not expect Benedict Cumberbatch to pull off the stuff that he's pulling off in Star Trek 2.
Oh.
When he was fighting the Klingons I was like,
right.
Sign him up for James Bond tomorrow. Because that was...
Right.
I was like, I understood the voice. I mean, come on, that's... silky smooth. Mm-hmm. That's Bond. He could probably say Bond. He could probably do that like nobody's business. But the action, I never thought he probably could do the action right. But man, the stuff. So what?
Because I love the
Here's a tangent. I
love the reimagining of instead of killing off Spock,
Kurt.
Just because it was everybody wanted to always see Spock fight Khan.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to see that in that movie. That reimagining of that thing, that was awesome. Because those two, deserved to fight each other.
I guess. Once again, that's one of those movies. Like, I would downgrade that movie for. I thought Chris Pine did a decent enough.
Chris Pine's great. Almost anything he does.
But I really didn't like Zachary Quinto's Spock.
I do. I like it a lot.
That's one of my problems with Spock being might be my favorite. him and Wolverine are very close together. But I mean, he might be my favorite character of all time.
Well, yeah, but I mean
Leonard Nimoy though.
Nimoy thought that he did a fine job. There was never any.
I don't care what he thought. Kevin Smith thought Green Lantern was the most amazing thing he ever saw on set.
Are you
said
sure?
It was gonna. Yes, he came from on set and said this is gonna be the best movie ever. This is so awesome. He's like, oh, this is so amazing. That's why, whenever he's said anything ever since,
right,
I take it with this side of the grain of salt.
Right.
So, like when I,
whatever
Masters
you do,
Universe
don't
stuff,
make
you know?
the suit green,
right,
or animated.
So, you know, and I think that's where, you know, give it to Rowling for not just giving her product away.
Yeah.
You know,
because you know they must have flashed her a bunch of money. It's like, hey, can we buy that?
Over and over again, you know. And I've even talked to you about this. You know, it's like at what point, you know,
what's the number that they?
What's the number that you just say?
Okay,
whatever. You know, just whatever.
Yeah, I know. Because like for instance, Orson Scott Card, which I mentioned on last, Ender's Game took forever to make, and that's because Orson Scott Card would not let it go to Hollywood to just get fucked up.
Yeah.
Because one of the great voices and comedians of our time, Jon Stewart, said it best a long time ago. I remember when Spider-Man was first being talked about being made, and Sam Raimi had become, was going to be directing it, and Tobey Maguire was going to be Spider-Man, and I remember Jon Stewart on The Daily Show said, by the time the Hollywood hack writers are done with you, you're going to be a retarded beetle that farts fire. Thank God that he was wrong.
Oh, they were trying to get there. They didn't do it to him, but they did it to the villains.
Yeah.
They did it, especially in that second series, that middle series. They
with,
really...
Andrew...
Garfield,
yeah.
They had to, it's taken a while for us to get to the point where we can put Thanos on screen and people
accepted it.
And not just accepted it, but loved it outright,
Right.
And that has to do with the CG and all that coming together, but they were doing stuff in the Andy Garfield stuff where they had to they tried to reimagine the Sinister Six so drastically that it took you out of the magic of what comics is. Comics are supposed to be a little silly, a little goofy, a little serious, a lot serious at times, but it's you're definitely in a different world,
right, when
you're reading those things, and you're in a different world for a specific reason. It's the exact reason why, how come Superman didn't save everybody from, the Cold War? Why didn't he just go and crush up all the nukes and get rid of them? Or why didn't Captain America, or, how come so-and-so didn't go stop the Nazis? How come blah, blah, blah? It's like, the whole point is you're in a different world. Right. All that stuff happened differently, and you can just. They struggled after 9/11. Where was all the superheroes to stop that from happening? And blah 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 blah. Because in a different world, you dumb shits. It's like, and now look at the state of comics now. Now they care more about the social issues of the day than they do about just telling great stories, and. If I can wrap that back around to this
Harry Potter,
so it's not too long of a tangent. like I said before, she balanced everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you bought everything. The sorting hat. Come on. I mean, how goofy of an idea is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You bought it. You bought the boats
Right.
moving themselves. You bought. I mean, 9 3/4. I mean,
Right.
that was brilliant, right? I mean, that was just.
Right.
How do you get to the magical world? Through magic, you know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you literally have to just make magic happen, and so
Right.
that's it's kind of like when you create stuff, you just have to go into a different world. You have to just make magic happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like you're talking about. You see,
I think what it really takes more than anything else is a writer that's not willing to compromise or change things, and a director that agrees with that and wants to stick with that vision too, because we had talked about off camera the original Iron Man. Jon Favreau, big fan of Iron Man, wanted to make that story, and the whole script or whatever was barely even written. It was basically an outline, and it was just him and Robert Downey Jr. just winging that entire thing. I mean, everything was improvised. Everything was on the spot, and Robert Downey Jr., he brought so much life to that. There's nobody now could say that there was another actor that could have done that. It was him that brought it to life.
well, I think there's definitely compromises that happen, because there's times when the movies that made us is a great example. We watched the Back to the Future one.
Yep.
Perfect example of the original movie that they were going to make. Nobody would love it. That would not be.
Which one?
No,
Back to
the
Future?
original movie that they made, that they had written, that they were going to make, was crap. That Hollywood guy that they brought in that said do this, do that, change. His little changes here and there is where the magic started happening in that story. It's kind of like with Deadpool, when they start constraining some things over here, you have to create some magic to make it happen. And then there was stuff where they stuck on the thing, like the name. He wanted the name, the man from Pluto or something like that.
Right.
Stupid, right? But like he said, the idea that the nuclear blast and then coming back to the, he's like, that's stupid. That doesn't work. And it I don't think it would. I think the movie that they were actually gonna make would not be the stand-up test of time movie that that people tried to remake now would just not
And also,
work. But the collaboration happened, and they stuck to the parts that were integral to it.
And plus,
like they needed Marty to be Marty, right?
Everything started happening better for them, according to that TV show, when Michael J. Fox finally got on board.
Right.
Because once again, he was Marty McFly.
Right. He was Marty. Just like what's his name was Iron Man.
Tony Stark.
Just like he was Dumbledore, and
Just
he
like
was Hagrid.
Wesley Snipes was Blade.
Right?
And he will always be Blade, no matter what actor they replace him with.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to that movie. That's the only Marvel one that I'm really looking forward to.
Do you honestly think that anybody's going to look as good as Wesley Snipes when Wesley Snipes is beating the fuck out of somebody? Because he looks fantastic when he's beating them. Yes, he does.
He does not.
He looks fantastic beating the shit out of people.
You know why? You know, I'll tell you. I'll tell you the thing that I have problem with Snipes, and it's there are very few of those action guys that have that timing down to where it doesn't look like they're pre-posing for the set. It's very tough. I mean, the timing is, you know, but you go back to people like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, you know, and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh man, it's just so fluid. And you think sometimes that those fights are actually happening in real time,
right?
You know, and there's are plenty of times where I don't know, he turns and he's already set in the position of kick is coming, and it's just like,
no.
Yeah, hey, it looked great.
I mean, there's scenes where like when he jumps up against that wall and he holds up that blade and smiles, and the one bad guy ducks and he chucks the blade and it goes around and kills all the things and he catches it. Yeah, I mean that is posing basically.
No, I'm talking about whack, whack, and he turns because he knows a kick is coming.
Right.
And he turns too quickly. He's already in position to catch, and then the guy starts to kick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he catches the kick, and it's like his choreography was just, no. Go watch it. I'm telling you, it's there. It's the same thing that made Hercules kind of hard to watch sometimes on TV because Kevin Sorbo. He was pretty good, but there's like once again. That stuff is so hard to time. And the reason why Chan and Jet Li were so amazing at that stuff is because the guys they worked with, the people they worked for for so long.
Most of the time, bad guys with Jackie Chan, most of the time he would, the people he would choose as his bad guys were people like Donnie Yen. And,
they were just as good.
I mean, God.
Yeah, they go on to make their own stuff. Yeah. But you know, how many of those movies do you ever watch and it's like, oh, they could have slashed you there. Bad guy could have hacked you there, slashed you there. You know, because they get to the spot too soon. Oh, and then they have to back off. You know, it's like, okay, you were stabbed in the back there. You were chopped in half there. You know.
Yeah. But no, I think
they had to edit the Star Wars movie because one of the like Emperor's guards had a knife right over Rey, like, and they had the CGI the knife.
Nice.
They missed it in the movie because he was like, oh, it got knocked out of my hand. You know, it's like.
But yeah, I mean that's one of the things Sylvester Stallone when he made the Expendables movies and he made that third one with Snipes was in it, and Jason Statham and Snipes, you know, they're actually they're friendly in real life because they do martial arts and it was just kind of fun to watch those two because their characters were so similar. They both used knives and stuff, and
well, it's the same thing with Romeo Must Die,
right?
When Jet Li and gosh, I hate losing people's names.
Are you talking about
the guy from John Wick, last one?
Mark Dacascos.
Mark Dacascos square off.
Mark Dacascos,
yeah. So what?
Genius.
But, see, this is the reason why I wanted to have an outline for these things.
Right.
Was
because
the whole point of these
tangenting again?
Right. Yeah. Because the whole point was trying to speak specifically just not that we can't reference other things to show how good something is, but when we get so far off, you know what I mean? It's like,
so what?
I know.
Well, I mean, we can wrap up with
it's not so much that. It's just because we're supposed to be trying. I mean, the whole idea of these is that come in, you get our flavor on that movie, and maybe they stay for this stuff, but I don't.
Do you remember? And this is going to be a complete tangent. Do you remember?
Go figure.
You remember?
Do you remember
when in Saturday Night
that day in
Live
November?
when Chris Farley used to do the Chris Farley show, and he would talk about movies with these great directors and stuff, and he would go, "Do you remember that time when Jesus, turned over all the stuff and he, threw all this stuff around?" And it's like, yeah. And he's like, that was cool.
That's cool.
Because that's basically what we're doing.
Well, it kind of is. But I mean,
do you remember in Harry Potter when he did the swish and flick, and the thing went up above and levitated? That was cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I can see. Well, see that was the reason why I wanted to come up with kind of a criterion, kind of a list of things to kind of be, so it's not just what we thought was the cool scenes in the movie, but
Right.
what made them cool and why, with a storytelling
But
aspect to it.
you were talking about like quotes, because like all of these things, one of the things what we never talked about is all of these movies and stuff. What makes a great movie, I think, is when a movie becomes pop culture. When you start quoting things from it and everything. With the Harry Potter thing is, yes, I think it became pop culture because you see people out there. I personally know a girl that has at least 7 tattoos that are Harry Potter based.
Really?
She has the triangle, the
Deathly Hallows.
Deathly Hallows. She has all these different. She even has a tattoo of the owl. His owl.
Hedgewood.
But all of these things become pop culture. But you asked about the first Harry Potter, if there's any quotable lines. I can't think of any. Plenty of cool shit, but I don't know if any of the lines that
I think most
consider
of the stuff
quotable.
that people would quote are the spells.
Right.
Spelliarmus.
Yeah.
The
Avada Kedavra.
Dava Kedavra. The Patronus.
But the question is
Expecto Patronum.
do those come from the movie or do they come from the book?
The movie. The books for me were, like I said, I read them after I'd seen everything up to I think the Half-Blood Prince, and then I actually read the book first because it came out before the movie, the last ones, the Deathly Hallows. But so I had gone back and read the books afterwards or listened to them, but I don't know. I don't know if there's. I must admit, there's a lot of times when it's like, alas, earwax.
Yeah, that's one of my
I think of that. I think
Yeah.
of that a lot. It's like, I think of that saying. I don't know. There's just little things from different type of movies, like from Lord of the Rings. I just like when Gandalf's talking with Frodo, and he says, "And I think that's a very good thing, that he's in the world or whatever." It's little. I guess they're not so much quotes like that. It's just little.
Well, I mean,
little things like that.
The "You shall not pass" has been, I think, the biggest quotable thing from that movie. And it's also been used in so many damn memes.
Oh, yeah. But But to me, in my mind, see, I just went straight to it. None shall pass. Right. I just need to get across. None shall pass. If you're a Monty Python fan, you'll know that's the Black Knight. And
Merely a flesh wound. That's my favorite line.
Merely fishing. What? That? Oh, it's a scratch. A
Scratch.
scratch? Right, I'll have your leg. What are you gonna do? Bleed all over me? Bleed on me? Right, how about you? Come on, you pussy, you pussy. Come on. Right, I'll have your other leg. Come on. Quack. What? Call it a draw? He's like, runs away. Sure, running away.
Yep.
Come ask you, I'll bite your kneecaps off.
It does make you wonder who the guy in the black
That's John Cleese.
was. It
Yeah, that's John Cleese.
okay?
Yeah. They play multiple characters.
Yeah, I
throughout.
know.
So yeah,
He's also the guy on top of the thing. He's like,
yeah, he's the
I will
wizard.
taunt you a second time.
Oh yeah. He's the Frenchman up there. Yeah.
I shall taunt you a second time. Right.
We'll have to do that movie because.
A coconut. Yeah, that's pop culture. I mean, I think that's.
I have more quotes out of that just because that's probably the movie I've seen the most in my life.
Well, I think
Out of Star Wars.
any movie that great stories, great movies, they get into your pop culture and they just don't go away.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I loved about Ready Player One, because that movie is just a regurgitation of every pop culture reference you could ever think of.
Well, you know what the thing I think about what made Harry Potter so great is yeah, it's in pop culture, but I think
It creates a world.
Well, it becomes your pop culture.
Right.
It's one of those movies that you don't care if somebody else likes it.
Mm-hmm.
It's your pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's what makes some of these stories is what makes them great to us, is because they become our pop culture. It doesn't,
Right.
I can quote stuff from Python all the time, and there's majority of people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But that might just be age.
Well, it's part of its age, but still. But some of that stuff's supposed to be timeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
And
it's
it is.
not. It's not, because if it was, there wouldn't be a whole section of YouTube for reaction videos of watching young people watch older movies. And when I talk about older movies, I mean like from the 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
And they're watching these movies like there's some like it's your parents listening to the oldies on the radio station, and you used to roll your eyes at listening to the music from the 50s and 60s when they were in high school, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this crap, and now your music from the 80s is the easy listening channel, and you're like,
Well, yeah.
they used to think that stuff was bringing down Western civilization, the Gores were trying to.
I don't know if anybody else in the past had ever had that conversation with their mother about whether role-playing games are, satanic.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yes, Mom, I'm worshiping the devil.
Right. Oh yeah. We had whole thing on that stuff, and
Right.
because you could cast spells and conjure up demons and things like that, but
It's like, come on.
it's just Conan the Barbarian. And when
That
you finally realize that,
Mhm.
that's when like a lot of things changed for me. Like when I realized like Black Sabbath, a lot of their music is just Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fantasy. It's like, or fantasy and drugs. But
Right.
if you're not into the drugs, then it doesn't make you want to go out and do drugs.
Nope.
That's which was what they think is going to happen, but
Right.
it doesn't make you want to go out and try it.
Nope.
Is Harry Potter a must-see? Yeah.
Yes.
Has most people probably seen it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you are bored on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon and there's nothing on TV and you're flipping through cable. It's playing somewhere.
Right.
And that's usually how my wife gets stuck watching it. she'll click over and it's on something. It's like a marathon, and she'll end up watching all of it. Even we have the DVDs sitting on the shelf, and she'll watch it on TV with all the stupid commercials.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yep. It was, but yeah, I mean, I will. Here's
Cinematography
a
at 10.
here's a controversial statement. I will still put the first Harry Potter above any of the following Harry Potters.
I still like the fourth. I think my favorite movie out of them is the fourth. The
Right.
third one has grown on me a lot.
Right.
I think I like the third one a lot too, but
Right. But I think the first one was the best. I mean, it's funny though, I can't say that about a lot of different sequel type movies, because my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street was the third one.
oh,
The Dream Warriors. Good one.
I haven't watched a lot of horror movies.
Well, you should. Especially anything with Robert Englund in it.
It's okay.
Have I forced you to watch Freddy vs. Jason?
No.
You should watch it. It's the best comedy ever.
Ever? I don't know. Halloween, the first Halloween was pretty. Always was afraid of this, and then I watched it like on TV or something like that, or it was on, and I had to stop from laughing. Jason picks up somebody and puts a butcher knife through them and sticks them to the door.
Right.
And he's sitting there looking at him, and the first thought that came out of my mind was that he was going to reach up and flick the knife and that's the vibe I got from it. I was like, but he didn't do it. Although we were watching some trailers last night, and the new one that's coming out, holy crap! I don't think the trailer these days, they show you too much, but it was like he has upped his death count.
Well,
in this new movie.
Time out for a second. They're making another Jason.
Halloween.
Halloween. Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. Halloween. So it's supposed to be the final thing. It's Jamie Lee Curtis, old Jamie Lee Curtis. It's got 3 generations of her family.
Jesus.
And I think the 3 that have been in the movies, but
because I thought they had already done a kind of a final thing.
They keep doing it over and over and over again. But
But,
this one, the amount of killing though that they showed just in the trailer, I was like, holy shnikes!
Who's the?
Because usually there's not that much actual killing.
Who's the director?
I don't know.
Because
I didn't pay attention.
I did like the remake that Rob Zombie did with the Halloween.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Better than his Reservoir thing, or was it Reservoir?
No. Rob Zombie did House of Thousand Corpses. He did
the Reservoir, Reservoir Dogs, but Reservoir something, wasn't it? What was the?
Oh, the.
What was the one with the creepy clown dude? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
Gosh.
God, what the hell is that called? I can just look him up real quick.
That one is disturbing.
But Rob Zombie, I mean, I like his remakes, because he did a remake of the Halloween. I thought that was really good. And the bad guy actually dies in the end.
Why is it doing that? Stop. Get off of that.
Zombie.
Why are you doing that? Oh, this must be
Devil's
something.
Rejects is what you're thinking
Devil's
of.
Rejects, yes.
Right. They also he did a kind of a follow-up to that called 3 from Hell. He
Unless that was an old
did a remake
trailer
of
they showed us.
Halloween. He actually did a Halloween 2. The House of a Thousand Corpses was the first thing that I remember him doing. But yeah. Mostly, I think that it's a way that he could keep his daughter working. I mean, I think that's mean to say because she's fairly talented.
I think this is it. Oh, maybe it was last year. Halloween Kills.
Well,
but
what name did it say above?
The trailer was for now.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. Let me see. The trailer that I watched for that was now. I don't.
Well, it may not have been released because of COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. They made the whole damn thing and never released it.
Maybe.
But I like the update they did on his mask there. Looks kind of worn out. Did you know?
Oh, that's not.
Did you know what that mask is? The whole William Shatner thing.
William Shatner, yeah.
It's an inside-out William Shatner mask.
Here we go. Gosh, this is way too hard.
We are.
David Gordon Green is the director.
Never heard of him.
Writer John Carpenter.
Oh, it's a Carpenter flick?
And David Gordon Green and Deborah Hill.
Because John Carpenter, he's another one of my favorite writers. John Carpenter.
David Gordon Green. See if he's done anything. I guess they're redoing The Exorcist.
Ooh.
Hellraiser.
I don't know if you could really redo Hellraiser.
I guess.
The thing is I can't really talk to you about these movies because you haven't watched them, a bunch of them. I'm a horror fanatic. I love them. I love horror stories.
Executive producer. Is that what that was?
What?
Director David Gordon Green. Director.
All
right. Anything that I recognize? Stronger. A lot of TV stuff. Red Oaks, Vice Principals. That should have been much better than it was. That TV show, Vice Principals.
Yeah.
A lot of TV.
I don't have any knowledge of TV.
He did Pineapple Express.
Really? I like that movie.
Your Highness. I've seen that.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
The Sitter.
Oh, that's the scary one.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Joe?
I think I know what Joe is. Yeah.
He got Nicolas Cage got one coming out where he finds truffles, black truffle, those very for restaurant, and then it's like John Wick, where I don't know if he was but somebody kills his pig, the pig that finds the truffles,
right?
And that doesn't go well for the people that killed the pig, but it looked pretty interesting, But I mean, wow. I think we were talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
All right.
Ended on a truffle pig.
It's only been an hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah, well, last one was a half.
So should people go see this movie?
Absolutely.
If you made it this far, yes. If you haven't seen it by now, then you're sad.
Read it, watch it, read it, then watch it, then read it.
Either way. You can't go wrong either way.
I mean,
but you can watch this one and get everything that's in the book.
Yeah.
How you can put it that way, right?
Yeah, it's scene for scene, shot for shot. It's
the only thing that I could say that it might be like with the Rotten Tomatoes thing is maybe when you read it, the characters that you see on screen aren't exactly what you think. Maybe.
But
for the most part, they did a pretty good job.
One of the things that I like in the movie is in the book they talk about the staircases that move.
Mm-hmm.
I think they captured that perfectly in the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think
You know, what's his name might
Daniel-
not be Daniel Radcliffe might not be what Harry thought was going to be like, or what Ron was going to be like, or.
I thought it was good
And like I
choices.
said, that might be the only reason why people were taken back on the quality or that score, because otherwise, yeah, it's a faithful representation of the book, and
Mm-hmm.
the story's great. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's got plot twists.
Right.
You can go back and watch it again and be like, oh yeah, that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like when a Quirrell was when they're doing a Quidditch game,
Mm-hmm.
and they think that Snape is trying to hex
Right.
Harry on his broom, and you didn't really see that Quidditch or Quirrell was the one actually doing the hexing.
Right.
You weren't paying attention because he was right in the scene, but
Right.
but since they said it had to have been Snape,
Mm-hmm.
all you do is focus on him.
Yep.
And but you go back and watching it, it's like, oh yeah, there he is right there,
Mm-hmm.
and Snape is doing something. You know, he's
Counterspell.
trying to counter the spell
Mhm.
it, but yeah,
Yep.
it's really good. It's really, really good.
Yep. I thought that, yeah, it was very faithful to the book.
Right, go see it. Have fun,
BurnoutStudios.com. Leave some comments.
and tell us if you thought it was any good or not.
Give us
you
some
know?
suggestions on movies.
Tell us why you thought 81% was or 82% audience score was a proper score for it. Because
I think it's accurate, especially
I don't
for
know
as
why.
many years as it's been now.
really, 82%.
Yeah.
You think it doesn't hold up?
No. That's still a positive score.
It's positive, but it's not like.
Well, you would be hard pressed to find 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But there are some movies that come out there that are like
I don't think on Rotten
not
Tomatoes.
100%, but
right.
I mean in the 90s.
I don't even know if you would find anything in the 90s. It's a very honest.
Well, audience score,
right?
maybe not.
Because you know that there's always haters out there that
Yeah.
will hate everything just because they hate everything.
That's true. Douchebags do,
Yeah.
and there's more of them now than ever
So yeah, douchebags vote.
have ever been in the history of humankind.
In the history of douchebaggery.
Yeah. In fact, a good place to see that is just in Netflix when they had to get rid of the rating system
Right.
because they couldn't accept a negative review of things. But, all right, tangent. See you next time.
Yep.